Okay, we're continuing with the review for section 2.1 to 2.3 and 2.7 in Algebra 2. And this is the problems, or excuse me, the four examples I have for problems 17 to 22. We're supposed to factor these. Well, the first thing you look for is a common factor. And you're going to see that here there's an x. And when you pull that x out, you have another x plus 8 down there. You could distribute to check that. And we've got this factored as far as you can. The only factoring you can do on here is pulling out that GCF. Let me clean it up a little bit. It looks a little sloppy. Okay. On example K here, you look for a common factor. The only number that goes into 3 is 3 itself, but 3 doesn't divide into 16. And you should also check down here and see if there's an x all the way down. And there's actually no common factor. So we're going to try to factor this the other way by using that star method I taught you in class. So this leading coefficient goes on the wings. Multiply the front and the back. Negative 36. And the middle number is 16. So you need, for the remaining two slots, you need two numbers. Multiply to give that, and add to give 16. Well, you can look this up on your calculator. You do that by going to the y equals key and typing in 36 divided by x. Your table of values will tell you all the factorings of 36. 1 and 36, I'll write them here. 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, 5 you skip since it doesn't go into 36. You'll see a decimal number next to it, and 6 times 6 here. Now we're trying to get 16, and this pair right here has potential, so we'll put down 2 and 18, and you'll have to use some negative there. But now you can see those numbers add up to 16, and the same numbers multiply to give negative 36. This right-hand side, 3 over 18, is the same as 1 over 6, and you turn those fractions sideways. So 3x minus 2, and that comes from reinterpreting that part of it. And then there's, if you look over here, 1x plus 6. Now you can check that. I taught you how to check it a couple ways in class, but one of the easiest ways is just to multiply first times first and see if that checks. Last times last, see if that checks. And the trickiest part of this checking is to do the inside and the outside. In this case, negative 2x on the inside, 18x on the outside, and those add up to that proper number there. Okay, we'll do another one like that. Once again, you check for a common factor first, and you guys can see there's a 5 there. The only number that divides into 5, since it's a prime number, is 5 itself. Now, if you take 5 times 18, you get negative 90. And so we're going to try to break this apart with some stardust here. That leading coefficient goes on the wings. You put the other two numbers in, negative 90 and negative 9. And now you're going to try to find numbers that multiply to give negative 90 and add to give negative 9. So you take your calculator and on the y equals line, type 90 divided by x. I'll be doing it as I speak to you. And then go to your table of values, and you should see different combinations. I'm going to list them here. 1 times 90, 2 times 45, 3 times 30, 4 times 22 and a half, we'll ignore that one, 5 times 18, there's also 6 times 15. When you get to 7, that's a decimal value, it doesn't work. 8 doesn't work. 9 times 10. And if you keep going on that table of values, you get to 10 times 9 next, which is an indication that you're done with the list because you're seeing the first ones turn around backwards. Okay, I think we can make those two numbers work. We're trying to get -9 when we add them. So I'll put a 6 there and a -15 there. Those add up to -9. And they also multiply to give -90. This left side, 5/6, tells us we need to fill this in. And when you simplify this to 1/-3, you know how to fill in the other one. So we'll double check this. 5x squared. The back is -18. You get 6x minus 15x is -9x. That one's done correctly. Okay, this last one here, there's a common factor. These both divide by 6. So dividing the first one by 6 gives 1x squared. Dividing the other one by 6 gives 5. And this one's done. You really can't do anything else. You could try the star on it. I don't think it's going to work, but let me show you how that would work. You got a 1 here, and 1 times 5 is 5. There is no middle term, so you put a 0 there. And numbers that multiply to give 5, there's only one pair. You're not going to get those to add up to 0, so that star method doesn't work, and that's an indication that the only factoring on this one is that 6 that you already got out. Okay, so we will pick up. Actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and do these two problems, okay? So we're supposed to find the zeros. I'm going to bring back this equation here so that it actually says 0. And then we're going to factor this problem out. Now, through trial and error, you can find the biggest number is 6. So that becomes 3x squared plus 11x minus 20. And now we're going to put a little bit of stardust on this thing. The leading coefficient is 3. That's from here. When you multiply that times the back one, you get -60. And you want numbers that multiply to give -60 and add to give 11. I do believe we can use -4 and +15. That'll work. This is 1/5. So now your factorization is 3x minus 4. I get that from these. And 1x plus 5. And now you set these equal to 0. The first one leads to nonsense, so you reject it. This one, if you set it equal to 0, gives an answer of 4/3. You could add 4 to both sides and divide by 3 if it helps you. And x plus 5, when you set it equal to 0, indicates that x is -5. Now you could store this number for x, type the left side and see if it equals 120. That's how you check this. Same thing here, store the -5 as the value of x, type the left side, and again, it should equal 120 the second time around. Okay, this next one here, we're going to bring it over. Our goal here is to get it to say equals 0 here, and you want to put that in the middle so that you get this in standard form. If it says equals 0, then you've got everything right. Now we have a common factor of 2 that I'm going to pull out. All right, so we're going to put some stardust on this thing. Leading coefficient of 8, and 8 times -12 is -96. All right, so we want numbers that multiply to give -96 or 96, and we can get a 1 out of when we add them. So on your y equals key, type in 96 divided by x, and cruise down through there until you find a pair that you think you get 1 out of. And I think it's going to be me see if there's one here. Yeah, that's a little problematic here. I'm not sure we're going to be able to get this one to work here. So let me list what's available for us. There's 1 times 96, 2 times 48. You can't make those work to get a 1. 3 and 32. The other way is, let's see, 4 times 24. 5 gives a decimal number. 6 times 16. 8 times 12. And let's see, 9 times 8. No, 12 times 8. That's just going around backwards. And none of these pairs could be added to get 1, even if you played with the signs. In other words, you make one of them positive and one of them negative, which you'd have to do anyways to get the negative 96 there. So this one is prime, and this one can't be equal to 0. So we can't find the zeros by factoring this one. So can't factor. And so finding the zeros on this one is not possible. Now, one way you might be able to tell that here is to graph the parabola right here. So go to your y equals key and type in 16x squared plus 2x minus 24. And when you hit zoom 6 to find what the picture looks like, you'll find that it crosses the x-axis twice, but those locations, if you try to trace them, try trace negative 1, that doesn't work. Trace negative 2, that doesn't work. Trace 1 doesn't work. 2 doesn't work. And you're dancing around the places where they work. So this way of doing it doesn't work on this problem. Okay, here's another example, and we're going to do this one by factoring out of 4x. Setting the first one equal to 0, you can actually get an answer this time by dividing by 4. When you set this one equal to 0 and add 1 to both sides, you can finish by dividing by 3 on both sides, and you get 2 answers, 0 and 1/3. Okay, this next one here, if you take the 3 over the other side, and actually I'm going to bring it the other way, and that's how I should be doing this here. Let me back up. We'll bring the 6 back. You get 16x squared minus 9 equals 0. And this side here is going to factor 4x and 4x. That's your 16x squared plus 3, and minus 3 is how you get the negative 9. And just to check it, there's a 12x minus a 12x. You can see there's no x term up there. So we'll set these equal to 0 and solve. Okay, divided by 4 here gives us the first answer. And do it again over here. 4x minus 3 equals 0. This time you get a positive 3 when you take that over. And divide by 4 on both sides. So our answers here are negative 3 and 4. Now, on the next video, I'll pick up for these problems. You have some of them towards the end of your review.